You didn't click on this by accident. Before you scroll, pause. Because this moment right here, it's not random. Something in your spirit led you here. And I don't say that lightly, because I know you've been carrying something. A kind of pain that didn't just touch your life, it shook your soul. The kind that made you question everything, your path, your purpose, even God. Yes, even God. Because there were moments you prayed, and it felt like heaven went silent. Moments you cried out, and nothing seemed to change. Moments you thought, if you're really with me, why did you allow this? And maybe you never said it out loud, but deep down, you felt it. This doesn't feel like a plan. This feels like pain, with no meaning. But stay with me. Don't leave this yet, because if you watch this video until the end, I'm going to show you something most people miss when they're in the middle of their suffering. I'm going to walk you through 6 spiritual signs that your pain is not punishment. It's purpose in disguise. That what felt like delay, what felt like loss, what felt like God stepping back, was actually God working in ways you couldn't see. Because not every season that feels like breaking is meant to destroy you. Some seasons are divine pruning. Some seasons are spiritual preparation. Some seasons are God removing, reshaping, and realigning things in your life so you can step into something your current version of you isn't ready to carry yet. And right now, you might only see what you lost, but by the end of this video, you're going to start seeing what was protected, what was redirected, what was intentionally allowed to shape you. You're going to understand why certain doors had to close, why certain people had to walk away, why that season felt so heavy, so lonely, so confusing, and more importantly, you're going to realize that what you thought was God being distant was actually God being strategic. So don't scroll, don't disconnect, because if this reached you at this exact moment in your life, then this isn't just a video, this is confirmation. And by the time you reach the end, you won't just see your pain the same way. You'll start to recognize the hand of God in it. The first spiritual sign that your pain is not punishment is that the pain changed you, but it didn't take you out. Let's be honest. What you went through, it wasn't small. It shook your foundation. It tested your faith. It pushed you into a version of yourself you didn't even recognize at first. There were moments you thought you wouldn't recover. Moments you felt like you were losing yourself, but you didn't. You're still here, still breathing, still searching, still holding on, even if it's been quiet, even if it's been hard. And that matters more than you realize, because the kind of pain that comes to destroy you finishes the job. But this changed you without ending you, which means it carried purpose, because in the middle of that pain, something was being built. Your strength, your awareness, your discernment, even your dependence on God began to shift. You stopped relying on what was temporary and started reaching for something deeper, something real. And you may not have noticed it at the time, but that breaking, it wasn't the end of you. It was the beginning of a different version of you. One that's being prepared for something your old self couldn't carry. Sign 2, certain things were removed, even when you weren't ready to let go. Think back for a moment. What left your life during that season? People you thought would always be there. Opportunities you expected to work out. plans you were sure would come together. And when it happened, it didn't feel like protection. It felt like loss, like something was taken from you without your permission. But here's what most people don't realize. God doesn't just add to your life. Sometimes He subtracts, not to hurt you, but to protect your future. Because not everything that feels right is aligned with where you're being called to go. And if He allowed certain things to fall apart, it's because they couldn't go with you, even if you couldn't see it yet, even if you weren't ready to release it. That separation, it wasn't random. It was intentional alignment. Sign 3. You started seeing things you used to ignore. After everything you went through, you couldn't go back to who you were before. Your eyes opened. You started noticing things you once overlooked. Patterns in people, energy in environments, truth in situations that once felt normal. And at first, it was overwhelming, because now you couldn't unsee it. You couldn't pretend. You couldn't stay comfortable in the same spaces. But this is what pain does. It sharpens your discernment. It pulls you out of illusion and into awareness. Because where God is taking you, you can't afford to move blindly. You can't afford to ignore what your spirit is picking up. So that shift in your awareness, that discomfort you feel when something is off, that's not anxiety. That's spiritual sensitivity being developed. Sign 4. You were forced into stillness. You didn't slow down by choice. Life made you. Situations paused you. Circumstances sat you down. Things stopped working the way they used to. And in that stillness, there was nowhere to run. No distractions strong enough to silence what you were feeling. It was just you and your thoughts, your emotions, your questions. And yes, it was uncomfortable. But that stillness had a purpose. Because sometimes God will isolate you just to get your attention, not to punish you, but to speak to you without interference. Because when everything is moving fast, it's easy to miss His voice. But in stillness, you start to hear differently. You start to feel direction, even if it's subtle. So that season where everything slowed down, it wasn't delay, it was divine positioning. Sign 5. You developed a strength you can't explain. There's something about you now. You've been through too much to be easily shaken. Things that used to break you don't hit the same anymore. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger, and not in a loud, obvious way. It's quiet. It's internal. It's the kind of strength that shows up when things get heavy. And somehow, you keep going, even when you're tired. Even when you don't have all the answers. That strength, you didn't learn it. You were built through it. Because God will never allow you to carry something without first building the capacity to hold it. So the pressure you felt, it wasn't there to crush you. It was there to prepare you. Sign 6. You feel a pull towards something you can't fully explain. Even now, after everything you've been through, there's something inside you that knows this isn't the end of my story. You can feel it, a quiet pull, a deep knowing, a sense that there's more for your life, even if you can't see it clearly yet, even if you don't know how it's going to happen. It's there, and it won't leave you alone. That feeling, that's not wishful thinking, that's calling. Because pain has a way of clearing the path, so purpose can finally become visible. It disconnects you from what no longer fits. so you can be led toward what does. So if you feel that pull, don't ignore it. That's direction. That's God showing you there's still more ahead. If you've made it this far, then this wasn't just something you watched. This was something you needed, because now you can see it. Your pain wasn't random. It wasn't pointless, and it definitely wasn't wasted. Every moment, every loss, every season that didn't make sense, it was all shaping you, refining you, aligning you for something your past self wouldn't have been ready to carry. So stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this preparing me for? Because one day, you're going to look back at everything you went through, and instead of seeing pain, you're going to see purpose. So don't rush this process. Don't disconnect from it. Let it build you. Let it guide you. Let it reveal what's next. Because when it all comes together, you won't just understand your pain. You'll see exactly why God allowed it.